Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are you ladies doing?
Good.
That's good. I think it's just the three of us today. Mary Hannah has something going on with maintenance staff coming into the apartment this morning, and Jessica had a work event. So I'm so excited. It's just the three of us.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey.
All right. All right. So, well, let's just do a general check-in. Just how you doing today? So, Sherry, we'll check in with you first. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just going through the motions, but doing good. Can't complain.
All right. Actually, here's Jessica coming in now. So, Joe, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's beautiful here. The weather's cool. It's a great day.
Oh,
It's good.
good. Good, good.
And I
And good
got my
morning.
camera so you can see me.
I do see
Yeah.
you.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
I know. And so just FYI, the last video we did from last week, and I probably should have told y'all this offline. But anyway, it's at Atlanta Sex Therapy. If you go to YouTube and do Atlanta Sex Therapy and Inside Look, you should find it. If you go to YouTube and look for it then. All right, Jessica, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How is everyone?
I'm doing
Good.
good. I was just saying I thought you had a work event, and so we were
Yeah.
not then.
So my manager and one other person was gone, and so they were like, "Oh, well, we can probably get done with it really quick." And I had told them that I had this that I kind of wanted to attend, and so they were like, "Well, I know you have something at 9:30." I was like, "I do."
Well, thank you. Sounds like the gods are looking down on us today. Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yes,
All right,
for
so we're
sure.
gonna jump in and just talk about what were the themes of the week this week. And so I'll go around again. So Sherry, and what were the themes of the week that you were dealing with this week?
I think I had a lot. Anxiety and depression is still one. And trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. And I think people want trust to be able to snap back immediately, but trust is built in so many little intimate moments over time. And then trust could be as simple as you noticed that I was upset this morning, as opposed to just going to work and acting like you didn't see me at all. Because you didn't want to get into it before work. Like you noticed, you stopped, you said things. And so all of those little things add up in time.
And
I
that's
think
the
clients
exact
want-
trust that we've been sort of dealing with, like not just small little things that somebody, hey, I trusted you to care for me in a certain way, and you did. And so now sex has become difficult.
Yeah, yeah, because that's the ultimate trust, right?
Right.
All right, Jessica, for you this week, what has been the theme of the week?
Boundaries, and what do boundaries look like, and how do we set boundaries, and how do we enforce boundaries, and what happens when we set our boundaries, and how do people react when we set our boundaries, and how do we feel when we're setting our boundaries?
Yeah. Yeah, if we're not careful, boundaries is can be definitely one of those things of like, oh God, wait a minute, did I cut my nose off to spite my face? Like, wait, what?
Well, and it's not
Wait, what?
necessarily that, but like understanding that if you've been a people pleaser for the majority of your life, or with a relationship, setting those boundaries feels really challenging, and it feels like you're being mean, and to the person that you're setting boundaries with also feels like, why are you suddenly being difficult? Why are you, like, what's going on? And I think it's really hard to not only do that, but to see the value in the people who respect that, and the people that aren't worth your time. And so like that's really challenging, because I think a lot of times when people start setting boundaries, they also sacrifice a lot of previous probably toxic relationships of they were taking advantage of you. They don't get to take advantage of you anymore. Therefore,
That's
they
right.
interact with you.
Yeah.
That's right.
I've noticed though, those how do I say this? Even in chaos, there's comfort. And
Mm.
so sometimes that, yes, they were taking advantage of me, but they also were spending time with me. Yes, that's because you were taking them to the store every day at 5 o'clock. Like it
Yeah.
was. And so it's pulling apart kind of, okay, I'm not taking them to the store anymore. They're not using me like that anymore. But also now I don't have the friend that I used to talk to at the end of the day. And how do I like navigate that and now put in a healthy relationship, a healthy boundary that still feels that need? And
Mhm.
so I know for a lot of people it's really, really hard to say, okay, this isn't good for me. Um, it's almost kind of like a bad dessert or something, like can't like just sugar filled candy. It isn't good for
Well,
me. It's rotting my teeth out. It's not good for me at all, but I like it. I like it too
so
much.
like
Mm.
that just hits a food morality problem that I have, because I think it's one of those things that like we impose that morality on food. So like I would probably not want to do that. That is specific analogy.
Help me.
But I
Okay.
think like looking at those relationships and like what are you getting out of it and what are you sacrificing for it? And
Mm-hmm.
if that sacrifice is worth it,
Mm-hmm.
keep doing it. Like you're getting
Mm-hmm.
something out of it. It's working for you in some way. If it's costing more than you're getting out of it,
Ooh,
that's where we really need to look at like,
yeah.
yes, you're getting this 5% need filled, but like
If it's costing you 500%,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
you got to pay attention. So, okay, we got to talk about the food morality thing because I think sex and food is like the best analogies for each other.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to talk about that. All right, Joe, what have you been hearing on the phones this week? What's the theme?
Just stress and how it's affecting just overall life in general, and how people are operating within the stress that's going on, and bringing that into their relationships, how it's
Yeah.
affecting their relationships, and people just having so much on their plate that it's hard for them to deal with just everyday things. And then you
Mhm.
put sex on top of that. It's like, I'm not feeling it. So it's
Right.
just the stress of life, that has been brought in this week.
I can see that. And I think as we gear up for the fall, kind of we're in fall, comes all of the things of the fall that we
Mm-hmm.
do. And so for like a lot of my parents, it's, well, now I have 2 baseball games this weekend, 2 football games this weekend, and
Mm-hmm.
all of these things. And so how do we fit relationships into that? Like, how do we fit anything for ourselves into that with all of the
Yeah.
other things that we like to do in the fall? And then right
Yeah.
after the fall is the holidays, and then after the holidays is the new year, and it just feels like it's ever going. So the theme for me this week, I have not thought about it at all. I feel like I didn't work this week, but I know I did, so I'm pretty sure I did. um I think it's change. And how
Mm,
do we deal with change and being able to walk towards change and understanding that change takes time. And
mm.
so I think so many of us want change to happen instantaneously. Like, I'm better. Um, I've
Yeah.
done one therapy session and I see the world different and I'm better. And that's just not the way it works. And
No.
so at one point, I don't know if y'all remember, but there was a commercial where this guy weighed himself on the scale and then he ran around the scale, like literally like ran around the scale, and he gets back on the scale to check again, see if he's lost any weight. And I feel like that's what's been kind of going on. And people not just kind of settling into, okay, I've got to make this change. Let's get this change made, stuck, stable. Now let's make the next change or the next step
Mhm.
in stable. We got that new habit and that. Because change is really putting in a lot of new habits in place, and eventually, and I feel like it's like a snowball, like right at the beginning it's very, very small, very, very small, and it moves very, very slow. But after a while, and we get new habits in place, then we're going to see a difference. And so how that looks like with the couple is, okay, can I get you guys just to do a date night, just to do a consistent date night? And so that's so small, and that's not going to get you to sex. But if we set that stage consistently, where you guys are remembering that you like each other, that you're laughing together, that you're having an experience together, then we'll notice some feelings start to come back. Like, oh, I remember why I married you. I remember why I decided to get in a relationship with you. And so just that small step, and so almost like, I feel like wax on, wax off from
Yeah.
the Karate Kid. Like, just go on a weekly date. Like, can we
Yeah.
get you to do a weekly date? And we
Yeah.
build that skill of a couple spending time together, and kind of, because usually if you're on a date, the world is quiet for you. It's like you're jumping into a capsule for probably 2 hours of just you and that person with that. But if we do that week after week after week after week, and then we add on just touching, just a hug, just a kiss, then we're building those skills nice and slowly so that they'll last forever. So
That's good.
yeah,
I
hopefully
like
so.
that. It's just like a step by, it's like baby steps, because if you, the
Yes.
baby doesn't, you don't give a baby a steak all at once. You
No.
don't feed them solid food all at once. You start them with baby food, and then they go to the next step and the next step. But, that was such a good comparison, because people want it's instant. It's like microwave. You're not going to get it
Yeah.
instantly, or you're going to
Yeah.
get what you would get in a microwave. It's not cooked properly. It's like
Right.
chewy, it's like hard, so you're going to have to start again. So it's like going back, almost like old school, where you go back to, hey, let's take it one step at a time, work
Mhm.
your way through it,
Mhm.
digest it, and then go to the next one. That was so
Mhm.
good. That was good.
Why, thank you. Why, thank you.
I'm loving it.
All right. So next question, Sharian. All right. If you were going to give a speech for the week, what would you say? What do you want all people to know based on what you've encountered this week? What do you want all people out there to know?
Normalizing your experience and your uniqueness helps.
Ooh, say more about that.
For instance, so just taking it through what I go through in therapy sometimes. Some people will pathologize or make their behavior wrong because they have to build a connection with somebody before they can be sexually intimate. Normalize that that's just you. And it's okay if you have to build a connection with someone before you can enjoy sex with them.
That makes sense.
That's good.
Be who you are and make it normal.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, that's really good. Oh, I love that. Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add to that, Sharian, before I move on?
No, because I get to go
I took
and
care
then
of
y'all
that,
be
didn't
like, wait, other people have to go.
Okay, just checking in. I just wanted to
Took
make sure you
care
got
of
to say
that.
everything you wanted to say. All right, Jessica, what would you say? What do you want everybody to know based on this week?
I guess one of the things that we talked about is kind of like natural consequences and like what happens with those natural consequences. Like, again, kind of tying into boundaries. I had someone that was, like, I need to be mean and put that person down. And I was like, you don't.
No.
Like, being assertive with, you're not allowed to speak with me in this way, or you're not allowed to treat me in this way. And if you continue to do this, what are the natural consequences of that behavior? So if this is happening in a workplace, me filing a sexual harassment suit or complaining to my manager that this is a hostile working environment is the natural consequence of this behavior happening. So, like, it's not my fault. It's the
Right.
person's behavior who I've enforced that boundary. I've told them, like, this doesn't need to continue. And so those are the natural consequences. And like, like, it doesn't have to be, because I think there's a lot of media that's like, when you're sticking up for yourself, it has to be witty and basically like eviscerating the person that was saying something to you or stepped out of boundaries. And like, you don't have to do, like, cutting somebody down doesn't make you taller. Like,
that's right.
Oh, good job.
you know.
That's good. That's good. I like
Is that
that.
it, Jessica? I feel like there's a little more.
Yeah, well, it's just, yeah. I mean, like when I was in school, we were looking at like parenting techniques, and one of my favorite stories from one of my textbooks was looking at a mom who was constantly having arguments with her son about chores and how he wouldn't complete chores, and so she had asked him to unload the dishwasher, so the dishes were clean. He just needed to unload them, so he did it about halfway. She didn't say anything. He had requested for him and his friend to be taken to the movies. So she gets in the car and they go to the movies, and she goes halfway and drops them off.
I love it.
And it's like, I'm treating you in the same way. You've asked me to do something. I asked you to do something. You did it halfway. I'm doing it halfway. This is the natural consequence of
Uh-huh.
how I'm being treated and how we're working together in that relationship. And he started unloading the dishwasher
That
all the
nailed
way. You know, it's what are
Yeah.
the natural consequences of your
Nailed it.
actions, and being aware
Mhm.
to accept those, you know, because I think a lot of times people are not receiving those natural consequences because people are just letting them get away with it because they don't want to be confrontational, or they don't want to be they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah,
Really, really good.
that's good. I like
Yeah.
that.
So I think what I want people to know is being in a relationship is a skill.
Mm.
Parenting is a skill. Um, Navigating people well, whether it's at work or at home in your personal life, it's a skill like you learn. And so communication 101, start with I statements. It's a skill that you have first, you learn it, and then you have to practice it. In the workplace, when I was in corporate America, we were instructed, until you have told an employee, told a subordinate something 7 times, you cannot expect for them to have mastery of that skill. Like, that's it, 7 times. That was it. I don't know if that's still the case, but because that's been a long time since I've been in corporate America. But just that idea of, if somebody's going to build a new skill, they have to learn it and then practice it and practice it and practice it before they have that. And so I want couples out there to know that being in a relationship is a skill, like it is. And so the communication skills, the conflict resolution skills, holding your own and setting boundary skills, and that there are books out there. We're here to help them. I won't say every YouTube video is great, but if that's the way you're learning, then like YouTube videos, there's a lot of good YouTube videos out there with skills. And so it seems like people get in relationships and they don't know what to do, or like, how did I get here, or anything. And it's as simple as, you didn't learn these skills. Some families were better at others than teaching skills, but some families were horrible at teaching relationship skills. And so for some people, it's not only learning the new skills, it's also unlearning the bad skills, but they're still just skills to learn. How do I react when somebody makes me upset? How do I react when somebody stops in the middle of sex and doesn't come back with that? And so that's a skill, because surely, let me tell you, if you start fussing at them and yelling at them and berating them, is not the way to get somebody to come be naked with you again. And those are skills. And so I want people to know that every skill is learnable. If you can learn to read, you can learn every other skill there is. There's that. So, okay.
Good.
All right. What else would you guys share with the people this week? Oh,
Well,
Joe, did I ask you?
No, I'm coming. I'm here.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm here. I think, and I started off with stress, that a lot of people are stressed just about things that are going on. I would say just take one day at a time, and take time for yourselves, take time for the person you're with. Stop and smell the roses. Stop and, go for a walk. I'd say just grab the day. Don't try and do everything at once. Don't try and, get it all done at one time. Stop and take time. Take time to breathe in the air, take time to look at the flowers. There was something on The Color Purple that said, one of the ladies said, it really ticks God off when you don't stop and recognize the color purple. And it's just taking time to enjoy each and every part of the day. And when you do that, it's compared to look at that one thing as opposed to this big, huge picture. Take one thing out of the day and enjoy that part of the day. Take time to digest what's going on in life and just take it in and enjoy some part of it. Don't let the stress of it just take you over. And when you just stop and think, just stop a minute, and whatever's stressing you out, put it aside, walk outside and just, look at all these beautiful things out here, whether it's raining, I call it liquid sunshine. Look at the liquid sunshine. Stop, the kids, have a way of enjoying the rain, jumping in the puddles and things like that. Stop and take time just to enjoy life. Just stop a minute. And when you look at the stress of it, it's we get so hung up in the stress and looking at and focusing on the stress, we don't take time to breathe and just be thankful for what we have in our lives every day. There's something that you can say, hey, this is a great part of my day. This is something good in my day. I can put my clothes on, things like that. I can eat, I can look at the sunshine. There's something that you can focus on other than stress. And regarding the stress, learn how to go through it, approach it, focus on it, run through it. And there was a story about some cows and buffaloes. And the cows, when the rainstorm comes, I know you've heard it, and it's on the internet, I love it. The cows, they said, run with the rain. They when the rain's coming, they're running away from it, rather. They're running away from it, so they get caught in the storm. But the buffalo, on the other part, run towards the storm. And when they run towards the storm, they run through the storm and end up on the other side of the storm, so they get through the storm faster. So they're not running away from it like the cows. They're running into it and through it. So I say, when you have a stressful day, run into it, stop and think about, okay, how am I going to get through this? Just one thing at a time. Go through that one. Once you get through that one, go to the next one. And it kind of piggybacks on what you're saying. One thing at a time. Learn one lesson at a time. Go through it, conquer it, and go to the next one. But get something out of it as you're going through it. I know that's a lot in 1 minute, but that's what I saw. And as I talk to people throughout the day, they just, after they tell me and present what it is that they're coming to therapy for, and I say, what's your reason for therapy? Okay, they say it. Then what's your goal for therapy? What do you want to see when you get out of therapy and look back at the end of the day? And they say, well, and then they give me that. And they find it's not as hard as what it is, that they thought it was. Yes. So in all that, that's it. I'll leave you with that. I'm done.
Okay. Yes, go ahead, can I say something? Please. Okay, so I just want to say something to Joe's analogy about running into the storm. Now, believe it or not, with a lot of my clients that have anxiety and depression that's influencing sex, I tell them to plan out their problem. But since you're going to have anxiety anyway, just go ahead and schedule a time to have your anxiety.
To have what?
Your anxiety, to have your depression. And so the thing that they say breaks them out, so we go through, well, what makes you on the days that you're not depressed and anxious? What are you doing? They may say, well, hey, I'm listening to the radio and it's great. So I tell them, well, go ahead and plan your depression, but I want you to schedule your alarm. And when you schedule your alarm, it needs to be that favorite hit song that you like so that you can start transitioning out of the problem. Right? So go ahead, because you're going to be it anyway. Yeah. And it works in a way that I had one client to report. It's kind of tricky how it's supposed to work. So I had one client to report, instead of doing that, I just chose to start going to the gym.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I had one client to report that they actually did it but it's really supposed to work like the first gentleman, but I'm learning. But I had one client that say that they actually did it and they actually went through it, but the husband, it was a woman, so the husband ended up saying, but I had the best sex of my life in years that I haven't had.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was quality and quantity. It was like 3 or
Wow.
4 times. And that would be an example of second order change. Going back from last week, when you were saying people don't know what second order change is. So that would be an example of what second order change is. We
Yeah.
don't address the sex. We're
Yeah.
addressing other things
Yeah.
that possibly influences how you think or how your ability or your comfort or decreasing anxiety and depression so you can start to feel
Yeah.
better when it
Yeah.
comes to sex.
Yeah. I think what we do in sharing what you just said sounds like did an excellent job doing is
Mhm.
help people think about sex and sexuality differently. And it is amazing how just thinking about a situation, a problem, an event differently completely changes your outlook, completely changes your outcome with that. And so specifically this week, I was working with a couple of couples on sexuality and aging. And so we were saying, how does sex look when you're 80 versus how sex looks when you're 20? And so when you're 80, sex may look like more of a, I'm gonna say 3-course meal. We do a little bit.
Oh,
we might
boo.
we might need to take a break. You know, we might need to take a break. We can come back and do more. We may need to take a break again, and then we can come back for a final dessert. Whereas maybe you're 20, it's a one-stop shop, one and done. Sit down and with that, and just being open to doing sex differently. If your body is no longer allowing you to swing from the chandeliers and have the best sex of your life, what will it allow? And so, in figuring that out and being okay with that. And I think just culture and society in general makes us think that sex should only happen one way. And if we can't do it that way, then we're lost and we're failures.
And what's
And that's
more
not true.
important, the quality or the quantity?
It's probably going to be different for different people, but I want people to choose the quality. I want people to have like good, deep, connecting experiences with another person. So, all right. Well, we have 2 minutes left. Well, actually, probably 1. And does anybody have any one last thing they want to say to end it for today? All right. I want to say thank you guys for being brilliant. I appreciate every single thing you guys do. I appreciate you guys coming in today and doing this talk with us. And if anybody is out there watching and you're struggling with anything that you think we could help with, feel free to give us a call. AtlantaSexTherapy.com is the website. Again, that's AtlantaSexTherapy.com. The number, which I got to figure out how to get listed on the screen one day, is 1-888-788-4624, and that's on the website as well. You'll get to talk to the fabulous Jo, and she'll figure out which therapist is the best fit for you. All right, ladies, thank you. Y'all have a great
Thank
day,
you.
and I'll see you
Thank
guys
you.
next week.
Bye.
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 Bye.